Yeah.
Yeah, bro, I got it.
Yeah. I might be hard to handle. Whoa. Might be hard to handle. I'm sorry, but might be hard to handle. Might be hard to cope, feeling heat that's substantial. The opposite of clutch, bankruptcy's all financial. Doing all or nothing on the pot with the gamble. Finding my trail like a beater on your sandal. Think you run the level, but I'm on a different channel. Run up to the river, but you only take a gander. On a straight shot, and then now you're on a camber. Yeah, I know I'm sorry, but I might be hard to handle. Yeah, out here keeping clean like I'm tired. Rolling with the boys, yeah, my homies on my side. Yeah, going on a ramble outside. Take a little stroll, now we're striding with the vibe. Know I'm all last, but I know it ain't a joke. When the heat has gotten to 'em, I just fired at a stoke. Might not be able to handle all the embers and the coals. And I see 'em burning rubber struck down like a bowl. Yeah, might be hard to handle. Might be hard to handle. I'm sorry, but I might be hard to handle. Yeah, might be hard to handle. Might be hard to handle. You know it's our time and we're gonna...
Folks, it is that time of year. It is the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. It is October 22nd of 2025, and the 2025-26 season is already beginning. We've already had games, and we're going to talk about them today. We're also going to have Coach Trellis Williams of the Muddy River Counselors with us as well later on, and we'll talk about games for this upcoming week. We are so back, folks. The MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show begins right now. All right, folks, and welcome back to the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button right now to the TSJW Network YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. We plan on bringing this show to you every week, Wednesday nights at 9 p.m., late night, watching the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. So, we have some games from this past week, but just to kind of talk about where we are. The 2025-26 season, we're coming off of a season last year, 24-25, where we saw in the 18U divisions the Muddy River Counselors get back-to-back championships, as well as the Laurel Lady Nighthawks getting back-to-back championships in 18U girls. They're able to get it done. The Counselors were able to beat PCA in overtime in the championship game of last year, even though they won all the games throughout the season in conference. They had a special season, that Counselors team. The Laurel Lady Nighthawks' first year under new coaching, Coach Cliff Jenkins leading them to another MSAHA title. Both those teams still looking good. Of course, we've seen changes from teams like the Counselors particularly. Laurel didn't lose a whole lot from their team from last year. Well, actually, they did. They lost a lot. They lost Carmelina Santos. She's not playing this year with injury, so they did lose a lot. She's still on the team with the team, but she's not going to be playing this year. So Laurel looking a little different there. The Counselors lost 9 players from last year's team, including 3 starters, as a lot of people do well know, but they're coming back again, ready to get it going. And they played this past week. We're going to go over the past games from this past week, Laurel and Macomb, and starting off with some girls action. These games were in Summit, Mississippi. We saw the Laurel Lady Nighthawks defeat the Macomb Gators girls basketball team 57-23. Not a huge surprise, obviously, just because you got one team who's the defending champions, the Macomb Gators, still trying to build up that program. They lose 57-23, but they're able to, put up some points on Laurel, and I know that they continue to develop there in Summit, but they fall to the Laurel Lady Nighthawks 57-23. On the boys' side, we see Laurel dropping the ball game with Macomb, 45 36. This is a game that Laurel led early. The Nighthawks led this ball game early, 11-4, I do believe. In the first quarter, Macomb able to outlast them. They win the ball game by 9. This Macomb Gators team, very impressive. They're coming off of a season where they lost a few players from their team. You know, they had a split, lost some players from their team. You know, they start off the season winning over the Laurel Nighthawks. Now, of course, Laurel's in a position where they lost 4 of their 5 starters. They still have Brock Anderson, who's a returning starter from last year. But, you know, losing Landon Hollingsworth, Ethan Beach, guys of the like, you know, just tough. It's just tough for Laurel. They're going to try to recover from this, though. They start off 0-1 in conference with a 9-point loss to the Macomb Gators. And now to the game that would have been considered the game of the week this past week, the Meridian Flyers and the Jackson Victors. Both these teams expected to be in the upper echelon of this conference in 18U boys. You know, the Meridian Flyers and the Jackson Victors. And this game did not disappoint. 61-59 win for the Victors. They play their games at First Baptist Church in Byron, Mississippi, and they hosted the ball game against Meridian, and they beat the Flyers by 2 points, just barely there at the end. For Meridian, Cooper Franklin finishing the ball game with 33 points and 6 rebounds. Wow, what a big game for Franklin. Brody Coker, 8 points, 17 rebounds, 11 assists, monster game. Just not enough to top the Victors there as a 61-59 win. Big win for Coach Gerald Cornelius of the Victors. Big win for their team to begin the season. The Victors deep, have a lot of players, have a lot of seniors on this year's team. They're expected to make some noise, and they do to begin the year. But don't count out the Flyers at all. Of course, you wouldn't because it's only a 2-point game. Don't count out the Flyers whatsoever. They're going to be in this one. And we'll see them play the Counselors in a couple weeks. They're not playing them this upcoming week, but they will be playing this upcoming weekend. But we saw the Muddy River Counselors start their season off last night, taking on the Scott County Flames, starting off with some girls action. The Muddy River Counselors win 65-43 over the Scott County Flames. Counselors are expected to have a very good team this year. They were able to score the basketball very well. Putting up 65 points in the first game of the season. And they defeat Scott County 65-43. Scott County had a couple girls on their team able to score the basketball. They were able to put up 43 points in the ball game. 22-point win for the Counselors girls basketball team. The Counselors have obviously they started off. They had to start from the bottom, and they've been moving up year by year. They come off a year where they finished number 4 in the conference. But, this year, PCA, no girls team for the PCA Paladins. And then Meridian losing 7 seniors from last year. The Counselors really want to be able to move up into that spot where they're able to compete for a championship with Laurel. Of course, Hattiesburg's going to have something to say about that because I think they're bringing back, I do believe they're bringing back a team very similar to last year. We saw at the end of last year, Hattiesburg Muddy River had a very good matchup there in the tournament. So you expect Hattiesburg to have a pretty good squad as well. And we'll see them play, I guess, in a month. But the Counselors get the win over the Flames in girls. In boys, Counselors back at it again, 80-23. They win by nearly 60 points. You're able to see multiple guys have big games for the Counselors. Mark Dillon finishing with 20 points. Isaac Viverka with 19. So Michael Williams, triple-double, 16 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. You see Isaac Viverka also get 7 steals. Just a lot of good things from the Counselors. Scott County, showed some improvement from last year, able to, score the basketball a little bit, have some quick guys and get their shot up. But just a little overmatched there by the Counselors there in Harperville, Mississippi. The Counselors win 80-23. And on that note, folks, we've got the head coach of the Muddy River Counselors coming off 2 championships with this Counselors basketball team. Going to talk to him about this season. They stand at 1-0 right now. Coach Willis Williams joins us right here on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. And it's good to talk with you now. Go ahead and put that audio on for him and so we can hear him. And Coach, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
For sure. So we see Yeah, definitely. We see your team able to win 80-23 first game of the season. They look good on a lot of levels there. 1-0 start. Listen, a lot of turnover from last year's team, losing 9 players. You're down to 10 boys overall. They're all playing 18U. Talk about this team.
Well, so we did lose some guys. Some guys have been with us from the beginning. And we still see those guys all the time because Clara, their sister's on our team too, and so we get to have good fellowship with them, and we're cheering for them on their excursion, going and playing with their dad at Pisgah. So we're happy for that. But for us, we had to rechamber, if you will, and so the guys that we have are guys, people that everybody's seen them before. If you've been to the tournaments, because we had those big guys on that 14U team, and with Mark and Hilton, and then we still got Mark Johnson and of course Isaac, and then some Michael, that's his senior year, and then even younger players. We've got a big younger player, Ike, and then I got some young players that can play ball, and so I've got guys. I don't have a tremendous amount of depth, but I have enough. I've got enough depth to play some ball. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I can play,
definitely,
and play well, and praise the Lord for it, because you when we're doing this homeschool basketball thing, everybody in this league knows that all it takes is a couple decisions that a couple family makes, and then your season looks different.
Yeah.
It's just a part of it. I guess that's with anything that has a team. Going around the block over and over. People make decisions and go other places or graduate or things like that. So, but man, we're dealing with it. I got a fun team. Look, the team is fun. All right, and that's a lot for us, for the counselors. We like to play hard. We committed to the Lord. We ask for safety, and that we shine for Him as we play and as we do, and we practice hard, and we we play like we practice, and that. You just see it. We play like guys come up off the bench. If you go look at it, it's like guys are playing hard. Guys are going out there and using energy.
Most definitely, and you had a nice couple of weeks of some hard practice here before this first game. Then you have 2 more weeks before your next game, which is against the Meridian Flyers. And this is a team that you expect to be pretty good competition here in the conference. We saw them have a close game with the Jackson Victors just on Monday. And so you have a couple more weeks of practice before that ball game. Just how are you liking how the schedule's unfolding and you're able to get some practices in here?
No, I'm glad, because you get into play, have a few practices and play against Scott County, and then have a few more practices and play against Meridian. And look, man, Meridian, you got a guy that can score over 30, man, you got a chance. You got a guy pulling down 17 rebounds, throwing out how many ever double-digit assists, and probably just – after it, you probably wasn't even thinking about that, because I know how some Michael is. It's just like, of course, some Michael's like, all right, man, maybe I can get me another triple. The basketball players think that you're a basketball player, Charles.
Yeah.
Did you keep up with your points during the game?
Oh yeah, for sure, most definitely.
Well, it's hard to keep up with your rebounds and your assists and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe Brody was counting them. Maybe he was like dishing one, be like, yes, that's another one. Getting everything. That's 12. But I know anytime you got players that can do that, man, you're dealing with a good basketball team. So, and then you were talking about the Victors early, man, and they're loaded down with 18, 17, 16-year-old players that are ready to play, and so. It's going to be on it. And then, we hadn't seen PCA yet, I guess. And then,
we'll be talking about that in just a little bit. The Victors play PCA this upcoming week, so we're able to kind of see where teams are a little bit in this process. But I wanted to also
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I guess that's bad podcasting, but I'm interested in I'm interested in what Hattiesburg's looking like and what Laurel's looking like because we just because I know those guys have been working hard. I mean, if they're playing basketball and you have an off season, like what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to go get better. And so, like guys that are coming back, I just expect them to be better. I mean, I can ramble on and on, but the thing about Landon Hollingsworth, how good he got.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, he went from being good to being good. I mean, and just like Cooper and Brody. I mean, I could name them. I'm sure Keller is like looking good. So I'm sure Brock is looking good. You know what I mean? And so we'll see. I don't know what his teammates. I don't know what the teammates look like. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff, man. So I'm hyped
for sure. Yeah, for sure, and it should be a really fun year in the league. But just to kind of wrap up the interview, I know that coming off 2 championships there in 18U, and then also coming off another 16U championship from last year. Now you got a team that most everybody, well, actually not everybody, because you got some guys that moved up from 12U, but a lot of your guys, all your starters, have some championship experience. Talk about that a little bit and how that might help these guys throughout the season when they're playing this league competition and it gets tough.
Well, that experience, it is good. I mean, because all these guys were with us, I mean, I got a couple really young ones played on a really young level. Like Devon, he wasn't there, while we were winning the championship, but he might have been at the game. But those were his people that won it. But anyway,
he actually did get in a couple of years ago for the 14U championship. He actually was in the game.
Right. Devon, you got championship experience too. So it's just different. You know what I mean? Because 16U, I mean, I had Luke, and man, I kind of like Luke and Isaac take care of business, and like 16U this year, I've got Isaac and Hilton and Mark and Cohen and Biku and Taylor and Ike and Devon. So, I'm hyped up about them, to see if they can, hold it down and win a bunch of games, or like I don't know what's going to look like. I don't know if they're going to be in close games, or I just know this. What I'm looking for is them to play like we practice, because at practice I stay on them and stay on them and stay on them and stay on them. You know what I mean? And so it's like just try to get that thing right, and then go play the game. And play it like we practice, because there's no other way. And so if they do that, I'm happy.
That's right. You only have to make them pinky drag every now and then, so it's all good. All right, well, hey, Coach, we appreciate you joining us right here on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show.
Thank you, Trellis.
Oh, yes. And so, folks, we continue on with the show right here on the TSJW Network. Please be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that subscribe button. Like and share with anyone else who's interested in MSAHA basketball. We're right on the front end of the season here. And anybody who's new to the league, we got people new to the league, including PCA's coach, trying to get in contact with him about being on our show, because we want to hear from him. They've got a new coach for their program. But anybody who's new to the league, share the show with them. Now we're going to move ahead to next week's matchups, and we got some matchups coming up this week, some big ones actually. And our first one is Meridian and Tupelo. So the Meridian Flyers will head up to Tupelo to take them on. That'll be on Friday night. The Flyers and the Titans. Titans losing some guys from last year, losing their top 2 scorers from their team. Meridian coming back pretty strong. They had a close game with Jackson. But you would think that Meridian would be able to come in pretty nicely, but you never know. You never know what these teams have. And Tupelo had some good young guys from last year that are going to be stepping up. And we'll see how ready they are for this competition. We're going to be looking forward to seeing that on Friday night. That is Meridian and Tupelo. And then on Saturday, we see the PCA Paladins and the Jackson Victors. This will be the game of the week coming up, because this is our opportunity to see what PCA looks like. Now, I don't know for sure, but I know some of the guys that left, and we know that Scotty Covert's no longer on the team. We know that Tate Boggs is no longer on the team. And those were 2 major figures on that PCA team from last year that pushed the Counselors to the brink, nearly knocked them off in that championship ball game in overtime. Very good team that PCA team was. So, listen, they lost those two guys, but supposedly they're bringing back Hayes Peace, who could not play at all last year due to injury. He's supposed to be coming back. They got the Howard brothers, Ben and Brendan, on their team. Brandon Solomon. They got Enoch Borelli. They've got some guys. They've got some folks. They were in the 16U championship game. They nearly knocked off the Counselors in 16U last year. So I'm never counting out PCA, and I've learned that over the years of me playing as well as covering this league. You never count out those Paladins. And but with those guys I named, they're in good way. So we'll see what happens there. That game will be in Byram as well. Victors will host that ball game against the Paladins. But, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. If I'm wrong on any of my facts, correct me in the comments. I think that's what PCA's team looks like based on the information that I've gathered. But then we've got Laurel and Tupelo. Okay, that will also be on Saturday. Now, Laurel coming off a tough loss to Macomb. They're not in a position that they like. They didn't want to be 0-1 starting it off. And now they head up to Tupelo on the road. We don't know what Tupelo looks like, but Laurel's going to be wanting to bounce back and get this win. We'll see what happens there. At this point in time in the season, it's hard to opine too much about it because we don't have a whole lot of facts about these teams. Laurel, we know that they lost to the Gators, but Tupelo we just know nothing about. So I guess we'll see what happens in the Meridian game. They're going to play Meridian at home, followed up by Laurel at home the next day. So we'll see what happens there for Laurel and Tupelo. And then we've got the Jackson Victors and the Macomb Gators. Macomb hosting again, this time against the Victors. This may be tougher than the Laurel Nighthawks. We'll have to see how it goes. But, expect this Victors team. Laurel lost a lot from last year. The Victors, they didn't lose anything. They didn't lose a single player, if I'm not mistaken, from last year. And the Victors coming off of a big confidence-building win over the Meridian Flyers. You expect the Victors to be in good way. But Macomb, they've got some good players. They got ball handling. They got Sean Davis, big fella inside. But he gets outside too. He can handle the ball as well. He's quick, great defender. Might give the Victors a little bit of problems. You never know. We'll have to see what happens in that ball game. That's the Jackson Victors and the Macomb Gators. That will be on October 27th, which will be on Monday night. That will be in Summit, Mississippi. So we'll be interested in seeing that there. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our standings, look at some girls' standings right now. And right now we see up at the top you got Laurel and Muddy River, both at 1-0, followed up by Scott County, Macomb, 0-1. Hattiesburg and Meridian yet to play in 18U girls. As you have seen, we don't have any girls games this upcoming week. Unfortunately, we got some teams that don't have girls teams. We got some organizations that do not have girls teams. And, we hope that these teams will be able to, be able to get girls teams in the future. But we see that Meridian and Tupelo doesn't have girls. PCA Jackson doesn't have girls. Tupelo doesn't have girls for Tupelo Laurel. And Jackson doesn't have girls for Jackson Macomb. So we'll see girls action the following week, some more later on. But moving over to the boys standings. So looking at the boys, we see Muddy River up at the top with Macomb and Jackson, all three of them at 1-0. And they're ordered based on point differential, just to let you know. That's how they're ordered because obviously they're all 1-0. Meridian 0-1, Laurel 0-1, Scott County 0-1 there, and then PCA, Hattiesburg, Tupelo have yet to play. Now, all these standings are available on the TSJW Network website. So you need to go ahead and check out that TSJW Network website, tsjwnetwork.net. That is where all the scores, standings, and schedules from across the conference reside. They reside on the TSJW Network website. I also want to remind you as well, so Brody Coker, star player for the Meridian Flyers, played a great game against the Victors. He ended up writing an article about the ball game, and it's posted on the TSJW Network website now. You should go check that out. It's about diving in deep to the Meridian Flyers' 2-point loss. Tough 2-point loss for them. Big win for the Victors. A close ball game there. So you should definitely go and check that out. Folks, we appreciate you joining us. This is the first episode of the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show for Season 5. This is our 5th season of this show. How about that? I'm Trellis Williams. We out.